welcome back to the channel. I don't know if y'all watched the video the other day, but we're just going to jump right into this video. I don't like to make long intros, but I mentioned about sourdough and me starting a sourdough starter. I used Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone. I used her recipe and everything, and I've got the book that I showed in my last video, her free printable, and then I've got a list of some stuff that I want to make. There's only 4 things, but this is probably going to be like an all-day thing. So the first thing I'm going to make is some sourdough banana bread, because we've got a couple of bananas over here that are like, they've got to be used today. And then I tried making just like regular loaf bread, and it did not turn out like I wanted it to. So that's, I think in that other video I may have showed croutons, or if I didn't, I meant to. But we turned that bread into croutons because it did not turn out like I wanted to. Now, as bread, it was not that well. It wasn't that great. It was edible, but it just wasn't what I wanted. Now, as croutons, it was really, really good. We actually used more than last night on our salads. And then the next thing that I want to make, well, what I was saying is I want to try that again because it didn't turn out well. It probably won't turn out that great this time either, but if it doesn't, Lisa has a recipe in there that is like French toast casserole, I think, and it uses sourdough bread. And so if it doesn't turn out, I will use it for that. I will not waste it, or we'll feed it to the chickens. I want to make some pizza dough because we're going to have homemade pizzas tonight for dinner. And so I'm going to make up some pizza dough. I've actually made homemade pizza dough from our sourdough as well. Sorry if you can hear my girls giggling in the background. They're probably excited that we're having homemade pizza. You can probably also hear my washer, but I have to do laundry, so sorry about that. But we're having that. I had made some pizza dough. I tried making hers. I don't have enough cast iron skillets. I only have one. And so I wasn't able to do it exactly like she done it, and it just did not turn out well. So I'm trying a different recipe. I've got the, I'm actually printing it out now as we're speaking, and then I've got some more recipes printed out that I want to try, and then some of them that I'm going to use are in Lisa's cookbook. And then the last thing I'm going to make is cinnamon rolls, so that we can have those for dessert with our homemade pizzas tonight, which I have made those a couple of times, and they've turned out pretty good every time. The only thing that didn't turn out well one of the times was they were a little bit doughy, but that was totally my fault for just like freaking out and taking them out of the oven too soon. Like, I was afraid that I was gonna burn them because we've got this gas stove and I'm not used to cooking on it, and so that plays a big part in all of this as well. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into first recipe that we're gonna do is sourdough banana bread. just wanted to share with you what kind of flour I was using. I always keep it in this. I'm actually looking for something else to keep it in because it's kind of hard to scoop it when I need it. I mean, I can get in there, but I would just like something a little bit more easily accessible. But I just wanted to show you what flour I'm using. And it's just the King Arthur unbleached all-purpose flour. I like to use organic also in this same brand. It seemed to work pretty good for us. I would like to try einkorn like Lisa does. I know y'all can I talk about her like she's my best friend, but I really like her channel. And she's so easy to listen to, and she has a very easy way of explaining things. Personally, I can understand how she teaches, I guess you would say, and how she explains things. It's just simple to me, and I like that. So anyway, but this is the flour that I'm using, and we're about to start our sourdough cinnamon rolls. I wanted to also mention that in these videos, you'll see me using butter, and you may also see me using milk. But the milk is oat milk, and which I may not be using any milk today. But if you do see me using milk on this channel, it's oat milk. And if you see me using butter, it is vegan butter. And then most of the time I use flax egg when I'm baking, and it works perfectly, and it's given us more just a bigger variety of food to eat because my son only eats like pizza and pasta and cheese. So I like to sneak stuff in like that when I can, and so that helps. But today for our cinnamon rolls, I'm going to be using this just egg. I've used it for other stuff, but I have not tried it in baking, so we're going to see how this goes. And I'm also like skirting it real close with this cinnamon. I don't have much left, but I think we can make it work. Also, in this recipe, I'm going to be substituting the brown sugar for just unbleached, just cane sugar, because I don't have any more. I think that's it. I will be using honey. I know I said I don't use eggs, or I don't personally consume eggs. Obviously, we have chickens and my family eats eggs, but I do eat honey, which is something that I will probably be phasing out pretty soon. But I do use honey. But if you don't want to use honey, you could just use maple syrup. And I've actually done that in this recipe. And it works just fine to substitute that. I think that was pretty much it. So, actually, no, it's not. I'm also not going to be doing her cream cheese topping. I have done it with vegan cream cheese. But, hers calls for, I'm looking over at it because I can see the recipe. It calls for cream cheese, heavy cream, either maple syrup or honey, and then vanilla extract, which I'm out of, so I won't have that for the topping. But I will just make like a powdered sugar and like oat milk mixture and use that as our topping. And I may even put a little bit of maple syrup in it just to get it a little thick. So pretty much I'm using her recipe as a suggestion, but I have used it like how it was written out, and it turns out perfectly. But it's actually a really easy recipe to kind of switch things around. So once again, let's start on our cinnamon, our sourdough cinnamon rolls. So in this recipe, I've already got the 4 cups of, whoopsie, lost my page. The 4 cups of flour. She says she uses freshly milled hard wheat, but I've just got the flour that I showed you earlier in here. A 1/2 cup of fed sourdough starter. I've got to get a 1/2 cup of water in here, a 1/2 cup of melted coconut oil, and then I've already got my 1/2 cup of honey, and then I need a 2 flax eggs. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was using this. So I'm going to use 2, I don't even know how to measure this out. I guess I need to figure that out. But I'm going to use the equivalent of 2 eggs of this. And then what I'm going to do after that is it says the step 2 is cover and ferment. I'm going to place the dough in a greased bowl and cover the dough with beeswax wrap or plastic wrap and allow it to rest in a warm place. It says overnight or up to 24 hours, but it's pretty warm in here. And I usually I have these little space heaters because we live in an old house. So I will probably grab that space heater, put it in the kitchen, and then sit the dough beside it and let it rise until it is 12:22 here. So I will probably let it rise until about 6 or 7. And then you will do another rise on it, which will be an hour after you add the other ingredients in. And then I will make our cinnamon rolls. I have not even done the whole cover and ferment thing like for that many hours. I don't think, I may have done it like once. But usually just about 6 hours is enough. Obviously longer is probably better. But that's what I'm going to do, and they've been turning out fine. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is add in the rest of the first ingredients to make the dough so that I can cover it and do the ferment. So I've got all of that in here, and I totally forgot to hit film, but I haven't kneaded it yet. So that's the next step. I've got flour, starter, melted coconut oil, salt, honey, and then I need my 1.5 cups of filtered water. So I'll go ahead and grab that really fast. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit while I do this. So the reason that I'm doing it in this bowl and not in my stand mixer, which I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if I may have like panned over that way. It's kind of over my shoulder over in that corner. It broke. Not the actual mixer part, but the bowl. And it was totally my fault. I bumped it up against part of the mixer, and I completely broke the bowl. It was glass, obviously. So I am having to do this by hand. And it says, let's see. It says add just enough flour so that it pulls away from the sides of the mixer or is not sticky to your hands. It will vary between 6 and 7 cups. And I have 6 cups in here, and then I've got my flour up at the top that I can add to it if I need to. But that's why I'm doing this by hand, because my mixer is broken. And I only paid $50 for that mixer. It's blue. Blue is my favorite color, but not a color that I choose to decorate with in this house anyway. And I got it from my aunt, who actually got it from my cousin, her daughter. Sorry, I think I just wiped flour on my face. And so they both have used it. And then up until me busting the side of the bowl out, I used it probably almost every other day. Like I said, I paid her $50 for it. She was selling it. And so I looked up replacement bowls, $80, which is still cheaper than going and buying a brand new mixer. So, and the reason I mentioned the color of it is because I bought it even though I didn't really prefer that color for it. I saw on YouTube where a bunch of people were painting theirs, so I'm going to try and paint it. I might do a video on that. I don't know. It just depends on how that goes. It may be thrown in with like a day in the life video or something like that. But for now, I'm going to continue to just mix this and see what I need to do to it. It says to add a little bit more water if it's too dry, but I actually think that it's okay. It's kind of sticky, but there's still a little bit of flour at the bottom of the bowl. This recipe makes 2 loaves, so I'm going to have to wash my bowl. I spared you all of the boring washing of the dishes that I had to do. You can see that I'm using the same mixer and the same spatula and the same bowl, the same measuring cup size. So in between each time, I'm just washing them and then bringing them back over here so that I can continue to use them. Because I don't have a lot of like mixing bowls and stuff, which is fine with me. I don't care to just wash them and reuse them, but it's just a lot when you're doing so many different things. But Totally fine. So I'm going to continue to do this, and then I'm going to place the dough in a bowl, and I'm going to grease that bowl with either some avocado oil or the coconut oil, which is what Lisa suggests in the recipe. And then I'm going to cover it and let it rise overnight or up to 24 hours. Now, the pizza dough and the cinnamon rolls that I made, or that I am making, they're actually behind me. They're lined up. I'm not going to let those ferment or sit as long as the recipe calls for, but for this bread, I'm definitely going to let it sit overnight. I want to follow this recipe as closely as I can because I want some yummy bread. So that's what I'm going to do. I should have made this when my husband was on his way back home, so he could have had fresh bread when he comes home. But I guess if it turns out good, I can always make some more. And I think I mentioned, but I'm not quite sure, so I just want to mention it really fast, that this makes 2 loaves of bread. I think I did, but anyway, so I'm going to do this, separate the dough and put it into it, or actually I'm not going to separate, I'm going to put it in another bowl and let it sit overnight, and then I will show you the next steps to everything tomorrow. I think I'm going to just leave it in this bowl. I think that it will be okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put some avocado oil in here and just kind of roll it around a little bit. And then it's not quite stretchy, so I probably need to knead it a little bit more. And then I will do that and let it sit.
So these look so good, but they turned out so bad. They did not taste good at all, and so we ended up feeding them to our chickens. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe down below, give me a thumbs up so that I know that you like the content that I'm sharing, and I'll see you next Friday.